Hello everyone, uh, welcome back to yet another video on the Taleo Enterprise Edition and Taleo Connect client product. Uh, just to begin with, my name is Mohit Yadav. I'm one of the ACE apprentice and as part of the knowledge sharing initiative from Oracle. I'm recording this video. Please be mindful that some of the screens and data that you see is proprietary data for my client. So it has a copyright uh, clause attached with it. Today is 28th of February. It's past midnight here in Sydney, Australia. So it's quite late, but I just thought, okay, I'll probably record one small video just to maintain that continuity and consistency regarding the knowledge share initiative. So in today's video regarding the product advocacy and product usage around the Taleo Enterprise Edition application, what my intention is to show you a very basic export script from Taleo Connect client. So in the past two videos, we did saw that how TCC comes into picture when there is a data integration process between different enterprise applications. So the first video was about our Oracle e-business suite, which was the source of truth for organization, location, and job field for my client. And that data was exported as part of an integration process and consumed within the Taleo product as a TCC import script, or rather than via a TCC import script. And the next video was about how someone can download and install the Taleo Connect client application or tool, and then they can connect to their Taleo environments, and then they can start using it for either export or import services. So in today's video, as I mentioned, it is going to be an exercise where we will try and build a basic export script, and I'll probably talk more about with a demo on different fields and how you can probably approach while designing an export. Please be mindful again, Oracle and Taleo as a product, they have a limited or a fixed limit on daily export and import count. So please be mindful of that. Whatever service you are trying to build, think from a business scenario. Only the necessary fields needs to be exported because that will impact your daily limit, and once that limit is up breached, then you can't have those transactions in the system. So yeah, in simple words, don't just export everything. Don't just try to dump uh, unnecessary data into the Taleo database, as it has impact and it can certainly impact your business processes around. So while exporting, mindful of the filter that you are using. Don't just export data with wildcard or without any filter condition. And again, every export, every import which is related to the business use case, you need to think from a volume perspective, like what is the maximum volume that you are expecting, and depending upon that, your TCC import export script should be designed. So without further ado, just to again kind of confirm that I am in fact Mohit. So here's my Ace Apprentice dashboard page. I've logged in, so that gives a kind of a confirmation that it's actually Mohit who is recording this video. And then let's just straight jump into the Taleo Connect client because we installed it last time around. So as and when once your installation is complete and you try to open up that tool, let it try to open. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time. I think the application is also half asleep like me, but yeah, let's just wait for a minute. Go back. What's happening? Let me try again. Okay, yeah, here it is. So the first thing that you will notice is obviously the login page or the UI where you will ping your product. And as demonstrated in the last video, once you save your endpoint, so the first time you need to enter the details, next time onwards, the details do get saved in the configuration file of the Taleo product. So I would like to connect to my staging environment so that I don't mess up anything if things go haywire. So that's the endpoint for my client's dev environment, and I'm trying to connect to, today we'll try and see to export something related to candidate data. So I can try and pull it from recruiting, or so I'll take the recruiting product, let's see, or maybe candidate if it is there. Okay, let me try with recruiting, and we just, I'll take recruiting. So as my endpoint is already saved, these are my credentials, and then we are trying to ping the recruiting product for the SO1 environment. I click on ping. If the details are correct and the ping is successful, it will give me a login. So this confirms that I'm able to log in. Now what you see if you are new to Taleo Connect client or seeing it for the first time, so there is a concept of perspective in the TCC world. And what perspective means, it's simply a logical grouping or collection of similar sort of items. So it's, you can think of it as a logical grouping of items. Now, obviously, the screen and different tabs might look very overwhelming to begin with, and with any new tool or anything that you want to explore, the best option is to kind of get hold on to the user guide, or let's say the product guide. So we don't have to worry about it because Oracle has already consolidated all that information in form of a very detailed guide. So all you need to do is you log in into your support portal, and then you just search for Taleo Connect client, and when you hit search, it will give you details about. So under the documentation, you can try and go through the latest documentation on TCC. So let's see if I pick up this one from August 13, 2025. This should be your guidebook if you are trying to understand all the features or the offerings of TCC as a tool. Nothing better than this, because this is actually you are kind of getting the first-hand information from Oracle. So before, as part of the video, what I did was I downloaded this user guide, and I can show you, means I'm not going to go line by line, but just a sneak peek of what the documentation looks like. So it will talk about the product, then how to install it, some basics, and obviously the most important part, why the whole objective of using this tool is either to import data into Taleo, or you want to export certain data out of Taleo using this tool. So if we go to the basics, as I like we showed when I was trying to log in, we get the login page, you select the product, you put in your and like you put in the endpoint details, and then you put your credentials. Once that is done, endpoint gets saved, and then you are able to log in. The next part, as I was saying, the perspective is nothing but the logical grouping. So you don't have to worry too much about the theory part of it, but it's always a good option that, okay, if you want to try and understand something of the product, this should be your fallback document. Now, for our use, and probably when we'll start creating the export script, I might touch base on the different tabs or the different section of this window. So as mentioned, we will try to build a small export script. What that means is, okay, we are trying to export data out of the Taleo Enterprise Edition, like the information that I see on the field of the product. If I want to export it in a CSV or a Excel file for further analysis or for sharing the data, so how to do that? So starting with the application itself, like today, what we are trying to do is we are trying to export some fields related to a candidate file. So here's my record in that SO1 environment, and I just want to extract my first name, last name, let's say a few other fields using the TCC product. Now, there can be a question. This is the application page. Will I get the same field label in TCC? So the answer is yes and no both, because your every client might have a different requirement for the field label. So this can be very, this name like first name bracket legal name, there is a very high chance you might not get this exact one-on-one mapping while selecting the number, the exact field in the Taleo product or the TCC product. So I need to know the product identifier for this field. How to do that? Again, it might seem a bit uh, tedious at first, but are if you have experience in consulting or you have deployed some Taleo solution for your clients, it's like it's all in your back of the mind, like how to go and find the reference of this field with the exact uh, business object, if I have to, or the a more better word is the data dictionary item. So the easiest way is, we are on the candidate file. I am under the candidate personal information section. So what I'll do is I'll try to find the actual configuration of this page. And to do that, we go to configuration and then we are looking at the candidate data. So go to recruiting, and here I'll first look at the candidate file setup. How is this being set up in my client? So when I click on candidate file, I can see that the file is using this candidate profile value, which is nothing but a custom file which has been developed for our client. So I've copied that name, and then I'll go to the user defined files. I'll try and search for that file. So here, if I open up this file, what I'm looking is for the fields under, let me go back. I'll go back to the candidate page layout. So I'll search my name. So I'm looking for the candidate personal, like under the personal information section, I'm looking for candidate personal information. So under the personal information, if I click on this candidate personal information block, I can see which we in here have a custom form that is being used to design the layout. So I'll copy this form name. I again go back to the recruiting center, and there I go the user defined form and now search for that form. And then when I click on preview, so I can see these are definitely the fields which we are seeing here. So I need to know the reference or the mapping of these fields. So I go back and I click on this. So here I can see the layout of that form. And if I click on this field first name and I scroll down, I can see the actual data dictionary item. So it's first name. Similarly, we were looking at that first name legal name field here. What is this field about? Because if I have to export this, I need to know the reference. So here, if I go first name, legal name, I scroll down, it's a custom field. So the nomenclature clearly suggests it's not a seeded, it's not a standard field like out of the box Taleo field, it's more of a custom field. So when I'm designing my export, I need to look for that particular field and I need to add it to my export so that I can get the data which is being captured for this candidate in the field. So similarly, you can try and find references to the fields that you get on the form. You need to go, like, it's kind of a reverse engineering. So you go back to where the core configuration lies, and then you can identify whether the particular field is custom or it's a seeded field. So for example, corporate email, if I just clicked on this, this is also a custom field, the nomenclature suggests. But when I click on the email address, it's a standard field, like it's not custom. And why I'm saying that is with the nomenclature, because I know for my client, all the custom fields, they have this keyword. So this is one approach. Now if I cancel, and then let's start building our first export. So as I said, uh, TCC can be used for either import or export or monitoring the jobs. So if I have to build an export from scratch, I click on File, New. First thing I need to do is New Export Wizard. So I click here. Now, as we are exporting candidate data, so what I will be doing is I'll just look for candidate entity. So I click on this candidate. I've selected this. Now, Taleo does come with few seeded templates. Like you can select, it will have a predefined set of fields already kind of mapped in the projection. So if you see here, they have three predefined templates, but for us, let's try and create it from scratch. So I create new export, finish, and now the whole magic is where we will design the export. So we selected the candidate entity. Again, each and every field, what does it mean? Your best option is go through the user guide, the one that we downloaded, and if you look into the export section, we go here and it will give you detail, like it's more than enough to kind of understand the whole usage of the product. So when you create an export, what does the locale means? What are the different options available and so on and so forth. So I'm selecting English and then I would like to have header in my extract. So your data extract or the data export, you can design it in different format. So again, it's a tree structure XML or you want it in a flat XML. If there are fields which hold multiple values, do you want them all aggregated into a single column or you want duplication into multiple rows? So based on that, you design report or entity. Again, not everything you will remember on top of your head. So again, your go-to guide is this because here you will see the details. So if you see here, export specification, this would talk about, there would be something related to the specification. I clearly know what's the, so let me search CS export mode. Yeah, so you want to refer the details of the particular field, you can search in the user guide, it should be there. So as I said, CSV entity, it creates one single row per record. And if there are fields which hold multiple value, it all collates into one single column itself. So we are selecting CSV entity. I want header. If I want my delimiter to be something other than comma, I can design it here because there can be fields which holds comma. So usually pipe delimiter is some of the clients, they prefer a pipe delimiter field. And then there are other options as well, wherein these are very important sort of configuration if you want to further put some conditions on your export. So again, reading about it, here if you see advanced, uh, you can have a quotation character as well. So if your data has uh, quotation, like how you want to encapsulate that. So giving an example, if there is a apostrophe and how you want to show it in your extract or you want to encapsulate, you can put another apostrophe and then it will get appended. So this is the basic, the first general tab. Then comes your projections. So projections are nothing but your fields which you want to extract. That's why it's called projection. So on the right side, because we selected the entity as candidate, it gives you the list of fields or a list of data dictionary items that are available for export. So what I was looking for is the employee number field, which is like the standard field. Now, how do I know standard or custom? Because as I said, for my client, when we were designing the solution, all the custom fields, they have a set nomenclature, like there is a prefix. So anything else is seeded field. Another way to identify what's the standard out of the box fields available or the data dictionary. So again, you can go to Oracle support. Let me go back here and then you can search for something like Taleo data dictionary. So Taleo Enterprise data dictionary. So data dictionary is nothing but your something similar to ETRM if you are across it. So all your entity structure like this one I have downloaded beforehand. This is related to the SmartOrg product. So it has information on all the entities which are part of the SmartOrg product. And by SmartOrg, what if you have used Taleo beforehand? SmartOrg is nothing but where your user accounts are created. So if I look at my user account and I go with name, yeah. So one of the entities of SmartOrg product is the user account entities, and I can certainly export or try and find out what this field means first name. So if I go to the data dictionary and look for the user account, because we are in user account uh, entity, user. So you go to Taleo user and here it will give me the list of fields which are available. So it also gives you whether it's exportable or not, whether you can import data or not. So data dictionary, sorry, is a very important document. It needs to be used while trying to create your export or import service because this gives you the reference of that particular uh, field. So yeah, think of it as like your technical documentation. It also has the ERD diagram just to give an understanding of different entities, how they are linked. So if I look at something, ERD should be there somewhere. Yeah, not data type. Looking at services. Let's see if this gives me. These are all I'm sure I saw somewhere it definitely has the ERD diagrams. Yeah, so like if you look at the user entity, how the user entity is uh, linked with the role assignment entity, it's via the role assignment field. Similarly, user account and group. So this again is very important because it in real world scenario, you will have to export data from multiple entities. It's not just the username, but you might have to club it with user group and user uh, types as well. So yeah, this document is again very handy, and just like the Smart Talk product, you will find data dictionary for recruiting, for transition center, and again, yeah, in the beginning it might look a bit overwhelming, like okay, oh, because someone who is from, let's say, an Oracle EBS background or Oracle HCM background, they might find it a bit uh, tough to kind of build the structure or to get their head around the whole product architecture, because Taleo is an acquired product. It was a separate organization before, but then Oracle uh, had the acquisition for the best of the class solutioning. But the core architecture is slightly different than your traditional Oracle PL SQL structure. So yeah, practice, practice, practice. That's all I would say. So let's start with our export. I need the employee number. I need the first name, let's say, and then I need the last name as well. Now, one good thing over here is if you select this on the right side, which is your entity view, and let's see if there is an option. So it also gives you a brief information on what that field is. So here, if you see the the documentation, if I click on this, it gives me a brief information like what this field is all about. If I click on number, it's the unique identifier, which is the candidate ID. So in my export, if I want to change the header of it, I can change it. So I click here and let's say I put it as candidate number, right? So I've given an alias. This is the actual field, and but when I'm doing an export, it will be shown as candidate underscore number as an alias for the subject header. So I'm just exporting this one. Let's see if I want something else. And I don't want credentials. So yeah, let's just have those four fields. Now, important thing, as I mentioned, we don't do a wildcard extract, because if I just run this TCC export with these four fields, it will pull out all the candidate records from the system, and we don't want that. So I put a filter wherein I say, let's put both filter and last name. So this is my first filter. I'm saying field name, first name, operator. Now, because it is a string, so I say contains and case insensitive, because I don't want to be exact match. I just want it to be a case insensitive match. So I'll just put my name. This can work with as a keyword as well. Like if you just put MOH, it will pick everything, all the records which has a first name which contains MOH. So again, be mindful of what your filter conditions are. And then we go here and then I say other. Okay. Similarly, you can add more details. Here we are just doing an extract of all the records wherein the first name and last name contains Mohit and Yadav, but you can have other condition like extract data for where the date of birth is 1st Jan 1900 and things like that. There can be more complex filters. Again, it's something which is a bit more advanced, but you can refer to this TCC guide again. It has the filter uh, details as well. So if you want to do a delta run, you use a concept of last run date, and If you have non-numeric character, again complex filter condition, so like regex and everything. So yeah, again, I won't be able to tell you anything outside this guide. This is like a Bible, and hence it's better to go via the standard documentation to be absolutely sure that you are not doing a hit and trial, at least when you are starting. So we put in there sorting. You can add sorting based on, let's say, candidate number or date of birth. So it's again, once your data is extracted, it will get sorted and then saved in your desired file. So this is how the overall extraction projection looks like in the backend code point of view. So it's an XML structure. Uh, you are extracting employee number, first name, last name, number, which you have masked as the candidate number, and then you have put a filter with the first name as Mohit, last name as Yadav. And then you save this so here I will just save it on my local drive. We go here and I'll just SO1 demo. Okay, so I'll just create a folder and then I'll save it inside SO1 demo. Now every export file, it has a suffix SQXML, so you can't change it. It is SQ. I think it's export services. There is a meaning to it, and with every file name, there is again an expected or a best practice nomenclature. So you start with the environment because you have to know, okay, which, whether it's a prod file or a non-prod. So you can just start with your environment code or the short name of that environment. Then you can try and give the entity name. So I'm looking for candidate, let's say candidate, and then you give the operation. So it's an export, so I'll just say export, and then you say underscore sq.xml. So it just gives a bit more meaning to what this file is all about, and that will help you to also kind of reuse it if required in the future. So we have made the export file, but you cannot execute it as is, because if you see, this one is kind of grayed out. So you need a second file which is called the configuration file. So configuration file is what which will run or trigger or call the export file, and then it will fetch the data. So we need to create a configuration file as well. So new configuration file, and now the prompt is, do you want a configuration file for an export specification or an import? So we know we are creating a config file for an export. So we need to select that export file, and it's this one. I've selected it, click on next. It will ask for the endpoint. Now I am trying to export the data from the lower environment. So I need to select the lower environment endpoint, which is SO1. Again, a very critical step. You don't want to test your script directly in production, so make sure that you have selected the correct product. And once you hit finish, it asks you for few more setup related things that you need to enter. So again, all the options, if you want to read, you can uh, read through the documentation for field by field. What does the particular field means? Here we'll just look at the bare minimum requirement for an export file. So my export predefined value, it will, this configuration file will use the export file that we have just selected, which is from SO1 this. Format, I want my data as a CSV format. So I'll just select the CSV. There are different formats available depending upon your requirement. You can select text or some other. CSV is more common, so I've selected that. Now, what I want to do is, whatever is the data that gets generated, I want to save it somewhere on my machine. So I'll select that folder. So again, I go this one, and I will go make new folder. So let's say we go SO1 candidate update response. Okay, just a good practice to kind of have a folder structure. Not here, we need to go to desktop, TCC SO1. Okay. So let me just hopefully able to change the name. It can be a bit clunky at times, but okay, let's continue. So I've selected, and this identifier is again very important because this can be used to track whether like what time your process has run and if there are any issues or not. So it's better to have a unique identifier. So I will just say this is SO1 demo candidate. Okay, and then now it takes the timestamp. Every time when this will run, it will append it with the timestamp of that time. So we have selected the export file. We have given a placeholder to drop the results file, and then we have given a unique identifier as well. And let's see if there's anything else. No, nothing here. We go to the monitoring, which is all good. It's just standard sort of operation. All we need to make sure is that the connection that we selected SO1, it's the SO1 so that we don't by mistake connect it to production. So this config file will use the SO1 endpoint and try and export the data. So here, yeah, SO1, yeah, CSV. So hopefully we need to first save this one. We go, and then generally the nomenclature is you use the same nomenclature as your export file. So if I go SO1, but instead of the underscore SQ, you just have to put cfg.xml. So that identifies it's a config file. Now, again, we have our export file, which is the actual configuration where we are trying to export data as of CSV entity, pipe delimiter. We are trying to pull these four fields. I can order them. So if I move candidate number up, that will be the first field, and employee number I'll move down. And then we go to the filter. I'm just pulling data which has first name Mohit, last name Yadav, and then so that's the export file, and corresponding I have a configuration file which is consuming or using that export file and then dropping the results under the new folder. So I click on this, and now if from the config file we'll try and run. So we execute, and there is an error as expected. So let's see what's the step and status. So code pipeline, we'll try to see if there is an issue. Okay, the current step does not support the request message format provided in the pipeline CSV. So if I do that and do an text, and I do a text here, product, I don't want this, so let's try again. No, something wrong here. So that's okay. Let me just pause the video and try to get one file just to show the running. So just bear with me. Okay, so yeah, we found the issue, and the issue is the format that we were using. So it was a missing, like it was an incorrect format that we use. So we have to use the SQ XML because I compared it with the working version of another export. So the request format has to be SQ XML and output is CSV. So now if I save and run, so it does all the polling process, and now I can see it's completed 100% and the file is stored in the response section. So if you look here, it has gone to that folder. Let's try and go to that folder. So we go here, where's TCC, we go to SO1 demo, SO1 SO demo. These are my configuration file and the export file. If I go to new folder, this is the latest file that got generated 121. Okay, if you compare, so 2216, and if you go here, that's the 2216. So you can be sure that this is the latest file. If I open it up, it shows all the four fields that we exported. So we exported all candidates which has a name Mohit Yadav. We did the case insensitive and the employee number and the, so these, if you look from the front end application, that's the candidate ID, your first name, last name, and your employee number. So now in similar fashion, you can add more and more field to your SQ file, and then you perspective. So we see not runtime issue view other. So we want the entity. Yeah, I don't want this one, and I want the entity. So yes, you can try and add more and more entities here, or you can drop it. So if I click here, so you can drag and drop here. So I want email address. I can pick the fax, which is the standard field, and I can then also add fields from other entities. So this, because as I've shown in the ERD diagram, anything which is related, some of the fields will get, you should be able to select from here. So if I want something from SmartOrg, so I can go to talent user and then pick up the details of the SmartOrg account. So like this way. So once you save, then you again just run the config file, and then you will be able to get the data. So this, in a nutshell, a very small example of how the export service can be used in the Taleo Connect client to export your data in a CSV file, and then you can do some analysis, and basically it's your report. So I hope you got some key information from this video. And if you want more of such videos, do comment on the YouTube channel where I'll be posting this video shortly. And then that also gives me an indication of whether you want to find some more information about a particular topic, or was this video helpful for you in any form. Yeah, thank you. Good night.